The idea behind this event today was to provide for all of you who are considering transferring to another school, or you want to transfer into any type of four-year program, the chance to sort of ask questions, get it all out. Now's the time to start thinking about where you want to go and how to get there. Essentially, what do you do after college? All these like massive life questions that you might have regarding school, your career, and all that stuff. So today we have with us two successful QCC alum, Dan Carpenter and Michael Pierre. And I'm going to let each of you sort of introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, and then we'll take some questions, how you got there. So,
Okay.
You want to start, Michael?
Okay, I'll start. My name is Michael Pierre. I studied here in QCC in 2001, so it's like 10 years past, and I started in my associate degree in performing arts, and my major was actually after that was voice, and I transferred to Hunter College after I got my associates to get my Bachelor of Music. And after Hunter College, I went to Queens College in the Aaron Copland Music School to do my master's. And then I came back here to teach. So I remember those seats, I remember those classes as well. I was studying here, MU 110 as well, in this specific room. And my career basically is based on the opera world. I sang in different opera houses in Europe, in Israel, and United States, and different things like that, and teaching as well. I guess that's about it.
Right. Yeah.
And my name is Daniel Carpenter, and I actually graduated last semester from QCC, and I'm currently a student at Hunter College in the music program, and I'm actually going in for composition. And I mean, I still have a ways to go before I reach this level, but I plan on actually writing for movies, scoring for jingles for different commercials, and if not, I can also do music editing, not the music electronics field, but actually editing it in the way you would think of like an English music editor. So that's currently what I'm studying, and it's going good so far.
All right, well, I'm going to start us off with one question, and that's for you, Dan, about what was the process of transferring like? What was easy, what was hard, what was expected, what was unexpected? How did it go?
Okay. Well, first of all, I can't really speak on behalf of other institutions like SUNY or private schools, but I can tell you from CUNY to CUNY is really, really easy because they have all your information down at the main center, I guess is somewhere in Brooklyn, and you don't have to pay for, I mean, you do get a couple of things that you have to pay for lifted, and you don't, it makes that easier, you're already on file. But one thing that was a little bit difficult is, and this isn't just a CUNY situation, this was just transferring in general from other schools, is what they have, the way they teach is different. Every place teaches differently. So when I went in, I had to do auditions, and I had to take tests, and I did take the advanced test, and I passed. And but when I talked to my music advisor, he did inform me that everything is taught differently, and it's true. Right now, I actually stepped back a little bit. I took musicianship 2 now, which we could have passed, and but I wanted to start there because I wanted pretty much guaranteed better grades than struggling in musicianship 3, which would have been I could have possibly been struggling with C's, maybe worse. But things are actually taught differently there. There are things that we learned we learned it in musicianship 1 that they're learning in musicianship 3, and vice versa. So everyone's on a different level, pretty much. A lot of people who go to Hunter started at Hunter. There are a good number of people who also transferred, but it is much different though, certain parts. So that was unexpected, and that was kind of difficult to get through, but definitely transferring from CUNY to CUNY is much easier. I know a lot of people who transferred upstate to private schools, and it didn't go smoothly as I had it. So.
Just a question for everybody in the audience. Have any of you, how many people have kind of narrowed it down to a school that they want to transfer to? Yeah? So what do we got here?
I went to York College.
York College?
Yeah.
Okay. NYU? Are you Emmy?
Yeah.
Okay, good. NYU, two NYUers? Anybody? NYU? NYU? Okay. Anybody over here decided where they're going to transfer to? Okay, so I guess one of the considerations is, you know, if you're going from a CUNY to a CUNY school, or if you're going out of the system.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you? One last question, Dan. Did you have to apply? Do you have to submit a separate application for Hunter to transfer over?
Yeah, you do, but like I said, you don't actually have to pay for things like
transfer application.
right, a transfer. Yeah,
Okay.
So it's really, they get all your information, and
Mm-hmm.
you just need to sign, like, very formal, but I think it's very easy.
yeah, it's very very easy. That's what I was talking about. It's very very simple, and like I said, CUNY to CUNY, you can't really go wrong. So it was pretty simple.
Okay. Feel free, by the way, to speak up, holler if you have questions at any point. Michael, would you talk maybe about when you transferred over, when you went to Hunter, and then also when you started your graduate work at Queens, like what were the musical expectations like? What was the musical?
Over there?
Yeah, at the different schools.
Well, here I felt like very home because the classes are smaller and you have more personal attention from your teacher. And for me in that time, that was great because I just immigrated from a different country and English is my second language, is not my first. So for me, it was better to be in a place that is very warm and very accepting, and starting from no knowledge in music theory, for example, back in the days. So it was very, very good for me, that nurturing feeling in this school and this college. And when I transferred, I had already so much knowledge. So maybe I wasn't placed, I don't remember. I remember that I went to Hunter College, also they did the entrances exam, and I felt like I'm one of many, many others as well. But the music department in here gave me so much information, so when I went there, I felt like I'm already ready, as if I was studying there for 2 years. I didn't feel so much of a difference between the levels, or I didn't feel that my theory knowledge from here was not as expected over there. But of course, I think it's all individual how well you're doing in here, and if you're not doing very well in here and you're moving and transferring, so maybe it will be a little bit more difficult. But I always also recommend for the students that coming to this college, and I'm teaching them, and I tell them that it's use all those benefits that you're getting here in this school. Most likely when you go to Queens College and you have a lecture hall of like 300 or 200 people in a class, the teacher might not even remember your name. And here it's very, very personal. So for example, as a teacher, I remember who had a struggle with that subject last week or that subject last week. So it's easy for me to follow up, and I think the rest of the teachers are here as well. And what I think is really beautiful about the CUNY system, that you might have the same teachers, the teachers are teaching there and teaching in here, or other teachers are teaching, let's say, in Juilliard School or in NYU or any other great other universities that are teaching in here as well, or in Hunter or in Queens College. So it's really depends on not only the school, it also the teacher. Let's say when I took voice classes, I went to Hunter College because I know the voice teacher that teaches there. So that's the reason I followed up with that teacher. And as well in Queens College, it's a private session that you get from your college. So if let's say your instrument is piano, or is it a guitar, or if it's composition, so you will get those private sessions one by one. And that was something that was really wonderful. And I think that's equivalent to a private school, which you pay a lot of more money, money than in here. So I think it was a great transition for me.
Yeah. How did you, when you were at QCC, did you before you transferred, did you make contact with the voice teacher or
Yes,
your instrumental
I-
teacher over at the other school at that time?
Yes, I definitely wanted to know what is the procedure ahead of time. I didn't want to wait and just apply and not know and just go blindly to the new college that I want to go. But I applied only to Hunter College because I knew that that's what I wanted to be at and that time. And I contacted the voice teacher, the head voice teacher over there, and she said you have to go through audition if you want to be in the Bachelor of Music degree, which is different than the Bachelor of Arts, because you have more credits that you need to concentrate in. For example, in Bachelor of Music, you need to have 60 credits in music out of 120 of total. So they transferred all my 60 credits or 62 credits from QCC to Hunter. I mean, nothing was left behind, so I was very, very happy that I didn't feel anything was for nothing. And at Hunter College, they had the audition that in any instrument that you are taking, you have to take that audition if you want to be in that Bachelor of Music degree. So it gives you more concentration on that specific instrument that you have. Mm-hmm. And I passed the audition, and then I knew that I have those 3 credits for that voice class that I'm taking, and so on.
Dan, did you make contact with your primary instrumental teacher before you went over to Hunter?
Actually, right now, as far as primary, I really, I'm in like the theory classes still that I'm working on, and which, for composition, I am working on that. I'm going to be taking piano classes and private lessons, which is actually a real plus at Hunter. They give you can even actually rent out rooms, complete rooms, just for yourself there, which are great. But no, actually, I kind of went in a little bit. I knew that Hunter had a great program, but as far as what I knew about the school, I knew actually some connections through some of the professors here who knew a lot of the professors at Hunter. And I think that throwing some of those names out also and mentioning that, and I think that could have possibly helped a little bit, but yeah, none was really premeditated when I went in there. So it was a little different for me, yeah.
Yeah. How many people are instrumentalists here? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, what instruments do we have here?
Bass and piano.
Bass and piano, okay.
Guitar and drums.
Yeah. Philip?
Percussion.
Percussion? All right, I know that. Any other? Did you have your hand up? Piano, guitar, bass. Okay. So something to think about is, do you want to, when you're transferring, if you can, if it's possible, a good way to go about it is, exactly what Michael's saying, sort of put the feelers out there, make a little contact.
For example, I might say that when I went to Queen's College, my voice teacher is teaching as well in Manhattan School of Music. So I would get the same technique in terms of my voice vocal training in Queen's College instead of going to Manhattan School of Music, which was really, really comfortable and pleasant because you know that you're in good hands and you have a good technique that you're following by. And a name of a teacher in this kind of field is very important, that you're passing the same Bible from one person to another. So that's kind of very, very helpful to know. Yes?
Does Queen's College have a conservatory?
Conservatory? It is a conservatory setting.
Yeah.
And they have a master's program there at Queen's College?
Yes.
I
was going in Queen's College for the master's degree.
Is there one for York as well? Or
For which?
no? York College?
Oh, York College.
I don't believe
That I don't know.
No.
No. Okay. I know there are a select few of the Canadian schools that have graduate or master's
Queens, what
programs.
else?
Queens, Brooklyn College Conservatory has a master's
Okay.
in music.
Is City has or not?
City? I don't know actually. Do you know?
I think Hunter does. I'm
Yeah,
not sure about
Hunter does. Yeah.
Yeah. Select the ones with the big music programs generally
Just
have.
Queens, Brooklyn, and
Like possibly Hunter or City.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, sort of, since we're talking about graduate programs and master's programs, and I know this is, it's like a ways off, but it's always good to have a goal. How did you sort of decide, what path you wanted your career to take, and when did you decide that you wanted to go and do more schooling and do graduate work?
Well, for me it was like very, I don't know, I would say that from the first day that I came to Queensborough, I said I want to go that far.
Mm-hmm.
I really set my goals way in advance, even though sometimes it seems like very difficult and very far away, and many years along the way to go through. But it seems like if you plan everything in advance, not everything might work exactly the way you plan, because life is full of surprises. But I think the more you have planning in advance, the more you have chances to meet your goals, because this way everything is, you have A plan and then you have B plan. If this school doesn't work, then you can try to a different school. But definitely I think that I was very happy in Queensborough, and I was very happy that my start was from here.
Yeah. So you kind of knew already from the beginning that you wanted to get a bachelor's degree and
Yes.
go on and get a master's degree.
Yes,
And
definitely.
Yeah.
And sometimes you feel that you're going from one school to another with your academic career. You feel that every school gives you one thing that you wouldn't get in a different school as well. So for me it was a good experience, like to go and, let's say if I would spend 4 years at Hunter and then 2 years in Queens, I would have less variety of teachers, because that would be the same teacher for 4 years teaching me mainly theory, or 4 years of sight reading or anything like that. So the more I got to know different teachers and different methods, the more I got knowledge in different areas. So that was great. And once again, in every music department you get different experience. One music department requires you to take certain classes, the others is not, and so you get to know different things that you wouldn't know if you'll be in one school, I would say.
Variety is good. Dan, as somebody who's sort of in the process of doing your bachelor's degree, have you thought about a career path, and how, have you done the type of planning that Michael is talking about?
Right. I have. I mean, I'm gonna take, I guess, baby steps. I'm gonna get the bachelor's and then the master's. But there are things I'm doing in the middle too. Like I recently actually just applied to some jobs at local music schools for mainly bass, teaching beginners bass, and the place just opened up near me, so they're taking people that aren't required to have a bachelor's or a master's yet. Just you have to pass more tests, and you have to pass more auditions. But yeah, starting now, and then for my career, contacts I realize is a very important thing. I think one major thing is where Hunter is located, even Queens, and other schools that are in that area. I think it's a great spot for what I'm trying to do, or if anyone's trying to get into the music program or music field as a career. I mean, Manhattan itself is full of great places, and a lot of professors that I have had their fair share in the music field. So I mean, trying to make contacts with them, and then after that see if they can give you recommendations, that would be great. So after bachelor's, see what's available, and then master's, then I do plan on getting a master's though. So and then from there I'll see where I bloom to. So
Yeah, just wait and see where it goes.
yeah.
It's a ways off, I guess.
Yeah.
Any questions so far? Yeah.
If you were planning on going to college after Queensborough, what would you suggest somebody do? When they sort of like jump right into the field of music, and they can't really afford to go to college.
Can you say that again? If you're planning on going to college after Queensborough?
Like if someone can't afford to go to college after Queensborough because it's too expensive,
Oh, okay.
but they still want to pursue a field or a career in the music field, what would you suggest they do?
Oh, okay. So if you cannot afford to go on after Queensborough, and you want to get a little practical experience first in the real music world, any advice or suggestions?
I think it depends very much on what your goals in music. If you want to be instrumental or you do you play any instrument or
I'm just an engineer.
engineer?
I just want to make music for like a short film or something.
Right. Okay, so I think what I would think probably is to get like a I forgot that name, when you get to practice but you don't really internship, right? So I would go and get like in a good companies that really looking for sound engineer and get the experience. Actually, it's not such a bad idea, and to get more experience in the field that you really want. And then you see if you want to continue in that field later on. You can maybe after you finish your degree in here, you might not be able to afford it, but along the way you might work, find a good job, and do part-time school, and to combine it together, that would be great.
Yeah.
So that's something that you, and I guess you will feel when you go to work in that field if you want to get an extra education for that, or you can just take a few courses or just certificate program, because there's so many different programs out there, and not necessarily to have a bachelor degree or master's, but there's like certificate programs as well in specific areas that you can look. So it could be not 2 years, and another 2 years could be just a year, could be just 6 months. So it all depends on your specific area of expertise.
Right, and also, I think also an important thing is along with what you can or what you're able to do as far as academic, you should also build up your resume in other ways. Like if you've taken private lessons before in the past with a certain instrument. I know you mentioned that you were more into the I guess recording field, but things like what I've done is I've built up certain resumes working here at Queensboro is one of them, and then working at a school, a little, I guess a shop, a school for music instruments for beginning children. Also, I did, when I first actually came to Queensboro, I went in for education. So from there, I actually did like a student teaching, I guess more of a just studying in classrooms. And all this, though, adds up on your resume. So when you have a combination of what you've done, plus if you add like working with children and such, they won't look as much at your degree. I mean, there are certain places that do, but you could very well land something pretty good just based on your experiences. I mean, that's what a lot of life is. A lot of life isn't just, getting, like, what it says on a piece of paper that you passed a certain class, but experiences is what builds you up as well. So if you just try make the best out of what you can, then in the end it should be pretty good.
Also, I want to add one more thing, that when I went to school, my goal to get my master's wasn't just because I want to have my certificate on the wall or something like that, because in the upper world, it's really not what helps you. It's really what your knowledge, your musicianship skills, and all the technique that you're learning. So I could get it with private lessons, but I rather to have something to study and have a broadened education in music, like music history, music theory, and everything that is related to music that might give me more information than just taking a voice class or voice lessons. So that's really helpful.
Do you feel like some of those like classes outside your main area, so like the history and the theory, do you feel like those have helped you at all?
A lot. I think that if I can say from the upper world aspect that if somebody asks you, for example, you go to audition and you need to sing few arias or few songs, and you're singing in a specific style, let's say from the Romantic period or from the Baroque period, and you don't know really what is the style and why do you use that or why do you do that, or small things that are making a huge difference in the performing arts, and if you're not aware of it, I wouldn't see how a performer can stand out. It's like me speaking right here, right now, and not knowing what I'm speaking about. That's the same thing about like singing and not knowing where that composer is coming from and what was his style or the time period and different things like that, and the technique that you use for different period of time as well. Yeah. So that's really important to have that information and education.
They're very classically based as well. Actually, very much so. They have they do have a lot of classes that I'm taking are based in classical. There are jazz, and there's even classes there. Actually, one professor specifically who specializes in pop. So it's got well-roundedness to it, but I guess to be honest with your question, this is my first semester. I haven't exactly tested all the waters that I could yet. So, but from what I understand, yeah, it's very classically based.
For what I remember, I know that they have some jazz theory, and they have a jazz vocal class as well, and different things, but it might not come like as every semester. It could be every other semester. It can be offered once a year or so. But they do have different classes to experience if it's jazz, by the way. In Hunter, actually, more than in Queens College, from what I remember. Yes.
Do they have different composition courses in Queens?
They have different composition courses.
Well, at Hunter, yeah, they have composition, which is what I'm going into, but that's going to be pretty much spliced when you start getting up to that. I mean, right now, like I said, I'm kind of in the very beginning, and I was talked to how I'm going to do this. I'm going to go from the beginning, and then in the middle, when I finally decide exactly. I mean, I decided already, but I mean, as far as with my advisors and such, what I'm going to do, which will be composition. Then from there, they're going to really splice what you're going to do. You could have composition in, there's classes on film scoring. There's classes, which is what I intend to do, but there's film scoring. There's classes on how to write world music. There's instrumentalist. There's vocalist music. So yeah, I mean, you have options, but it all pretty much does go into, I guess, the one idea of composition. Yeah.
Queens College, I know they have a great composition major, really great. The teachers are like one of the best that I know, and I think it's involved more with classical music in Queens, and you do have the variety to choose which composition class you want to take. But then I believe, like Dan said before, you have to take first of all the basic composition, and then you will narrow down to more your specific area that you want to be focusing on.
I have a couple questions for you guys. First, could you confirm, unless things have dramatically changed since I was in school, but regardless of what your major is, if you're a voice major or a composition major or a clarinet major, whatever it might be, piano is still an important component of whatever you study. Is that still true?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It's a must to have keyboard skills at Hunter College. When I remember, the theory class would be split to two sections. Once a week you'll have the lecture, and once a week you'll have the keyboard skills, as well as when you have any other history classes or anything like that, they will always want to input it into a keyboard. That's at Hunter. And in Queens College, I didn't have much experience in terms of the keyboard because I was doing my master's in voice specifically, so it was less about keyboard, but it was more about lectures and things like that.
And yeah, I actually, this is also regards to Queensboro here. I knew a lot of people who went to Nassau Community College, and not to put them down, but they in their music program, really learning piano was on your own, was going to the labs, and they would just do it all pen and paper. But here at Queensboro, I'm actually very lucky. I feel I'm pretty lucky because I came here when I was in Professor Seaman's class. We used to practice a lot on I remember those,
Yeah.
yep. And then also very intense with Professor Chang's classes. But I feel I'm fortunate from that because when I went to Hunter, they took that and they added more to it. So they really expected you to be very proficient with it, which by the time I got there, I actually was, I felt like I was at their level for the most part of what they expected. If I went from Nassau to there, I'd be lost because they just don't offer that style there. They don't. I guess they don't teach that method. But when I went to Hunter, yeah, piano is definitely a must. Keyboard harmonization, things like that are definitely a must to know how to do. Especially for composition. I mean, you have to when you're right there just harmonizing different things. I mean, you can use a different method. You have to be able to sing, sight sing, or sing in your head and such like that. But you have to harmonize it as well, and no better instrument than the keyboard. So
Right.
so they're very intense on it.
Also, I had a short example of last week. Actually, a student of mine in class asked me, Professor Pierre, why do I have to really know all those scales, and why do I need it? I'm doing music electronics, and I explained to him that I know everything is computerized today. I'm aware of that. But I told him that, can you imagine if you have a client that comes to your studio one day and you will want to transpose a melody to a different key, and you'll not know how to do it, or your computer is shutting down, or something happens with your computer. You need to still to have those. And I said, basically, if I would go to a studio and I would know that the sound engineer do not know what it means, for example, A major, or how to transpose to A major, I would say, okay, I'm not sure I want to work here. Because this is something that needs to be like really, really fast, although it's a lot of information that we're trying to inform you in here in school. But I think all the keyboard skills is very, very crucial, important to any musician in any area of musicianships. You really need to know that.
My second question. Actually, but before I do that, Dan, it's nice to hear what you say about how you learn theory here, because you guys actually represent two different ways of teaching theory that we had. When Michael was here as a student, we taught the pen and paper style theory and a separate piano class.
Right.
And it was about 2004 where we said, look, we need to be teaching theory and piano at the same time in the same class. And so we created 208 and 209, which Dan went through. So I'm happy to hear that you found that very satisfying.
Oh yeah.
Experience.
It was definitely, it's a good method, and it carries over, because Hunter, as he mentioned before, Hunter actually, we have 2 classes of musicianship, and 1 class of that, 3 classes altogether in the week. 2 classes in a classroom, sight reading, sight singing, and 1 class using the keyboard. We're doing various scales, but also harmonizations, chord progressions, things like that. So even though some of it's review here, from here, they teach it in a different manner also, which is, it's good to be well-rounded as well, so from one institution to another.
So my second question is, I was at a meeting yesterday and heard an interesting statistic I'd never heard before, and that was that for community college students who complete their associate's degree, actually get the degree, and then go on to a 4-year school, the graduation rate at the 4-year school is much higher than it is for students who transfer before they finish the associate's degree. Students who transfer, a number of credits but don't have a degree have a lower graduation rate from the 4-year school, and I thought that was an interesting statistic. So I'm just curious with you guys, did you have a feeling of satisfaction? And did you go to graduation? Did it feel good to finish and have that diploma, even though you knew you were going on to do something else? But did you like having, that terminal degree to mark your 2 years, or maybe it was a little more than 2 years, whatever it was, but to have your associate's degree?
I definitely was, because once again, I didn't know how well would I do in my Bachelor of Music degree, and if I would be able to graduate, or what are the expectations as well. So I knew at least I have that. So it was easier for me to know that, okay, I passed the 2-year stage, and now I'm moving ahead, and I'll try to do my best to be the best that I can. So that's actually something that I think it's very good, and I think 4 years college cannot offer you that. After you studying 2 years, what happens if along the way you decided to stop, or you have things in your family or in your life that changes your wishes to continue. So at least after 2 years you do get your associates, which is great. And you cannot get that in, I think, in 4-year college if you go there right away.
Yeah, I mean, it's like milestones. It's I mean, going from your high school diploma and then straight to working hard here and then getting your associates. It's almost like milestones. You know that it's not just a straight run, because eventually you're just gonna keep running and then you're gonna run out of steam, because you know, I mean, it's like you feel it's like almost like rewards as you keep going. You get your high school degree. I mean, there are people who don't even graduate high school, and then they continue, and then they continue, and then they continue, but they're tired. And what you do is you just, from high school degree to associate's degree, there's your reward. And now bachelor's, there's your reward, and you keep going that way, because instead of, if you leave Queensboro, from Queensboro and you don't graduate, you're going to go right into the next program. And it's really, the line is a little more transparent when you to go get that bachelor's.
And I know that as a student that right now when we're speaking about like master's degree or bachelor degree, it looks so far away. But believe it or not, guys, it's like a roller coaster. As soon as you go in, and it's like going really, really fast, and you don't even feel, but the years and semesters going fast, so fast, that I don't even believe that I was here like 10 years ago, like you, in the same classroom, and actually thinking about transferring as well, and being in the same situation. And I said, how is it going to be? Which college is going to be the best one, or which place would I have the best way of studying with a voice teacher? And how it's really a lot of questions, but those questions are going away very, very fast as you go through this route. And that's something that you don't have to be like scared of, like that it's so many years, so many semesters, because it's really go fast. And believe it or not, it's really worth it. After you graduate, you feel that you did something in your life, and you have a career, and you have something in your hands, and just, you know, taking private lessons here and there, and you don't have anything to continue with. So that's really great.
Other questions?
Did any of you guys have to consider any subcategories of whatever direction for you? For instance, voice, it's opera, but there's other types of voice. Or like for Dan, there's movie scores. But because for me it's guitar, but I know when to transfer, but it's either jazz theory or classical guitar, and I really don't know which direction I want to go. Maybe I'll end up doing both, who knows? But for my next step, I'm not sure where it's.
Right. You can always, I found a lot of my friends in college, I found that some of them did double major. So you really taking the same theory class, the same history class, you're just doubling major in your instrument. So if, let's say, you have 2 different instruments that you're thinking about, you can try both of them, or you can major in one instrument and minor in another instrument, which is great. But in terms of personally about me, I studied voice from the beginning to the end, but I know that the theory class that I took was comparable to this. It was the same students that were sitting with us when they studied composition, or if you're studying to play the flute, or you a piano major. So we would we'd share the same classes in terms of theory and history and the general requirements from the music.
Because another side of it is which school to transfer to, because I know Queens has a good classical program,
Right.
as opposed to City College, and it has a good jazz program. That's kind of
Right, confusing. Right.
I wouldn't know, like, in the end it's up to me, but
Right.
that is where I stand right now. I don't really know what I want to do with multiple voices with a classical fingerstyle guitar, which I hadn't really done mostly before,
Mhm.
but or jazz where it's more centered off improvisation.
I would suggest to do a lot of research about the things that you can do after you graduate with classical guitar or jazz, and see what really is your passion about, and find out. And I know it's hard because you're all young, and I don't know how old is everyone in here, but I know it's 18 to 25 or so, the average age. But I know that it's very difficult to determine, like, I want to do that and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But I think, for example, in me, I knew that I want to sing when I was 6 years old. but that's maybe too early to find out. But for you, I think you should really, really try to find out, to do that research within yourself. Do research like really with the proofs and things that you can read online or in the libraries, and find out what is your really passion is about in music. So that's what I believe, that if you love what you do, that's the best thing that can happen, because you will do it with so much passion and you'll do the best you can. And that's a great motivation for yourself. So regardless what kind of outcomes will be, but that's really.
I mean, because in the end, it's both guitar center, so I might end up doing both. I don't mind the extended education, but I want
Right.
something that would be more solid and something that would kind of fulfill the time that I met in
Right.
previous. But it's still, it's all right. I could end up being a session player or a professional musician, getting opportunities from either field. But that's for me to figure out and research, for sure.
And that's actually good that you hear, and because that gives you the time to, while you're studying and taking different music classes, to realize what you're getting more interested with, and what is less or what is more, and then you can make more of a decision than just going right away to either that or that. So that's really, really great.
How do you overcome self-doubt?
Ooh. How do you overcome self-doubt?
Realizing that other people are better than you. You yourself will kind of feel progress, and that self-doubt is preventing you from actually completing compositions.
That's a good question.
Maybe
What do you do when you get into that new environment and you realize everybody else is better than you?
Almost like a time.
I can never think that somebody is always better than me, because I know there is always will be someone better. There will always be someone less better. So you cannot really think that way, because music is a whole world, in my opinion. And like in everything else in life, there's always someone that will be better and always someone that will be less. But your goal is to do your best that you can in what you have, and that's what will keep you motivating to do your best and with your knowledge and your education in your field. Because if you'll think about, I think those groups are better and this guy is better and that person is better, then it will not, I don't think this energy will keep you promoting yourself and being in a better place. That will put you more down, and will say, okay, you know what, if they're better, I cannot progress to the next step. The other way is around, like, I want to achieve that goal and I want to do that, and I know I'm capable of doing that. And the more you keep saying it to yourself, the more you'll be achieving and the more you'll be able to accomplish. And that's what keeps me, at least, with a very competitive area, because there's, I don't know, but I know there's like around 12 graduates in voice in the United States every year, and that's a big amount of singers. And when we come to audition, we have like around 500, 600, 800 singers to be chosen to a specific role.
For one role.
For one role, or, for example, if you have a young artist program, which I was, and I remember it was for Opera Colorado, and it was like around 600 singers, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do my best. I had the same feeling like you, oh my God, he's better, she's better, where I'm going to be, how they're going to choose me if there's so many good other singers, but they chose me. I don't know if I was the best or if I was somewhere in the middle, but I know that I really, really focus on achieving and succeeding, and that's what really makes it happen.
Right. Discouraging yourself, even in when I went in for Hunter, discouraging yourself really doesn't help in the end. I mean, I'll give you an example. When I went in for my audition, I was going to go in, I was going to play piano. It's not my main instrument, but for my degree, composition, I think it would have been better and would have benefited me more to prove that I had piano skills than play on the bass. And prior to me going into the classroom, I heard someone perform Mozart Sonata, and I wasn't up to that level yet, but I said to myself, I'm going to do what I can do, and and you know, the person who performed that is actually sitting in the same class as I am now. So it really didn't. I mean, their degree is just different. It's not better. It's not worse. So when it comes to, I guess, going for it, yeah, you just have to do what you can, what you can, and you gotta try your best. I mean, you can't slack off at all, and it's just you gotta realize that, as Michael said, there's people up here and there's people down here, but you know, you're in the middle, and where you put yourself is all up to you. And but it is a good method to understand that most likely you're not the best, but you're definitely not the worst. So.
Another one for me. Could you guys maybe Dan about Hunter and Michael about Queens? What ensemble opportunities there are? You know, our students take 2 ensemble courses, and they might want to know if they can continue that when they go off.
Sure. I didn't yet get to the ensemble part of my studies yet, but what they do offer is they have very much actually what Queensborough has. They have symphony orchestra, they have band, they have vocals, and along with all this, what I love about the school is they have private lessons that count as classes, as credits. You actually get credit to one-on-one with another teacher or professor to help you with your instrument. And I mean, there are requirements. I think it's again another not for performers, but for composition. They want you to do 2 credits or 2 classes in performing, but I mean for the performers obviously it's much more, but what I love about the classes, about the course, like I said, is they have people there to help you personally with the with your instrument. Mine when I go in, I'm gonna be probably doing piano, even though I grew up on the bass. Piano, you can't go wrong learning more piano. As far being a music major, you can't go wrong learning more piano. It's definitely true. And after that, then after you finish that, for me, I'm going to be going on to composition. But that's as far as what I know in the Hunter program is we do offer. And then we also offer on off semesters, on maybe every other semester, they have things like what we studied in Professor Seaman's World of Music class. They have classes all about different world musics. So they have a pretty good variety at Hunter. I can't really speak for any other.
Do they have, speaking of ensembles, toward this question, do they have a jazz ensemble and small chamber ensembles?
The chamber, I'm not sure about, but I know that they have a jazz ensemble, and I know that they have another band, like a marching band kind of thing also, actually. But
Okay.
and the symphony. The symphony is probably where I'm gonna most likely find myself.
Yeah.
And that actually, the Queensborough, if they have it, I really don't know much about the one in Hunter, but here we had chamber ensemble, and I was
Yeah.
part of it, and I think actually that's a great class, by the way, for getting over your nerves. That because you're kind of more on, you're not part of this. I mean, I can know symphony orchestras, you're one instrument out of how many, but when you're when you're working with one other person, that goes into your question actually. The spotlight's put on you, so you know you have to do your best because you're pretty much, it's equal with each other. If you're just one person, if I'm playing the double bass out of many others, no one's going to know my caliber of my level of performance. But when I took this chamber ensemble, it was just me and a guitarist, and I was holding half and he was holding half. So here at Queensborough, I know they have that, and at Hunter they do have solo situations too. But that's what they offer at Hunter.
How'd you find the ensembles at Queens?
Queens College, they have a variety of different ensembles when it comes to vocal ensemble, they do often Baroque style, and they taking very interesting piece that I never heard before, and they come to actually to do things with a vocal ensemble. They do it without accompaniment, so it's all a cappella. So it's really working on your ear training in terms of getting the right pitch, and that's really, really great. And the level is extremely high, and also you have the symphony, and then you have the orchestra, that you're working with the orchestra with the opera production that they have once a year. So they do have opera production, and then they have musical theater as well, adjunct with the theater department. So you have a lot of collaboration with different kind of departments in Queens College, and you have the choir as well, and you have also you have a very interesting class that it's musical legium, I believe. That when I took it, I remember that you have either someone plays the piano as an accompanist and you sing, or you do two different instruments as well, and that's really great because both of us are students and both of us are in the same level, so the accompanist really setting the piece that could be challenging, could be not, but as well as I am as a singer. So it's really working together maybe for the whole semester on 2-3 different songs that are really, really challenging. So that's really, you're building your repertoire in any instrument that you're working on.
Yeah.
So that's
I
really
know
great.
from recent experience knowing some people at Queens College, they also have a brand new gamelan, a Balinese gamelan ensemble for people who are interested in world music. They just purchased it, I think, last summer, so it's just getting going. And and in addition to lots of small chamber ensembles, so percussion ensemble, guitar ensemble,
And you have also
things
excellent
like that.
practice rooms over there that I remember, both in
Yeah.
Hunter and in Queens, but in Queens I really remember the practice rooms that are acoustically
Yeah.
protected. And what was really great for me in Queens College, it's the Left Rock Concert Hall. I don't know if you have been there.
Has
If
anyone
not,
ever been to the concert hall at Queens College?
you really have to go
A
and
couple of
see
you?
concerts there because it's one of the, I think it's one of the best acoustically
It's
speaking.
beautiful. Yeah.
And beautiful. So every semester as a voice major, I would go on that big stage, maybe not a whole audience, like 500 people, but you would still get a lot of, a good number of people in the audience. So you would get on that stage every time, and they record all of those performances. So after that, it's on their website, and you can listen to those MP3 files. So you can really criticize how you did well or not, because it's a live performance, which is interesting. And it applies to the symphony and the orchestra and the opera. Everything is broadcast on their website eventually. And that's being archival like for so many years. And I think I can
Yeah.
still hear myself singing there. So it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for any of you who are interested in checking it out. Concert reports. There
Yes.
are always tons and tons of concerts over at Queens College in the beautiful concert hall.
And that's not
there.
far from here too. So
It's
that's
really close, and I guarantee they'll count for a concert report for one of your classes here. So if you're interested, it's a good opportunity to check it out. All right. Well, I'm going to ask if there are there any more questions from the audience? Feel free. All right. Well, these guys will be around for a couple minutes afterwards. Sort of last thing, can you give us one sort of nugget of advice that you wish you had had earlier in your academic or professional career? I know it's a tough question. What was something that you wish you perhaps had known as a freshman or a sophomore in college at QCC?
Probably the standard they would hold you at Hunter, because I'll actually give you guys this little piece of advice. I didn't do this. Take as many classes as you can. Even what happened with me was I only needed my last semester. I needed, I think, two more classes pretty much to finish, and I was originally going to be in Professor Saman's music keyboard harmonization 3, and I pulled out of it right before the class started because I didn't technically need that class. I wish I took it, because I mean I'm not. It's not that struggling or anything. It's just that when it's just that much easier. You have that much knowledge under your belt. Pretty much, it's what's more important. Was my free time during that semester more important than knowledge I could have gained going into that new school? I mean, if I could rewind it, I actually think I'd take that class and I'd see what other maybe more performance classes to help sturdy my nerves a little bit too. But I mean, take advantage of this school. Plus, you have professors here who are good and they're very social and they'll talk to you and they remember you. I mean, as mentioned before, a lot of the professors there. Not saying that they're bad or anything like that, but they're just they're not at all. It's just that they're they don't remember you. I guess you can put down. You're just a number. You're just a number. Except for certain professors, there are certain professors that obviously remember you and what your level is. But there are also professors where, I mean, there were students who just didn't show up, who went in, didn't show up, came back. Professor didn't know the difference unless
Also,
your name
yeah.
was on the rostra. So I mean, here they take. I mean, so take advantage of what they offer you here, because it'll definitely come in handy when you go into your next to your 4-year.
Michael?
I don't know. Everything went very smooth to me when I was here. I didn't have that kind of opportunity like this lecture, question and answers.
Yeah.
So that would make me a little bit less scared from doing the transfer. I was really not sure that they will transfer all my credits because I didn't know that it's the same system and CUNY is one and all the colleges of CUNY are the same and everything would be transferred and in the computer event. So the only thing that was a little bit frustrating is that when you do the transfer application, what I remember that you have to go to the register office right here and then to bring the copy and then they ask you for a signature and all the small things that you really need to go after, and make sure that when you do that, you really do that ahead of time and you're not missing the deadlines, because sometimes they do have an extended deadlines for the application, for the transfer applications. But if you do that, you have less chances to get into the school because they will take whoever base first, come first. So that's what really important not to miss, because if you miss one semester, that means, for me it meant a lot. I was the kind of student that liked to take 18 credits, 19 credits a semester and finish all my academic courses really, really fast and do it like I was just here the whole day and not working and just being in school, because that's what I really, really wanted to do. And so really, I wish I had that class and I would have more information before going into the water.
All right, well, if you'd like, stick around. Oh, yes?
I just want to chime in what he's saying about the transfer thing. You know,
Sure.
we have a person here on campus that's his sole job is to
Yes.
to do transferring, you know, to help you with your transferring to another school, George Conchita. That's his whole job. He has an office, go in, and that's what he does. And he's very good at it. He knows the credits, he understands other schools and what you need to do. So yeah, he would have been wonderful, you know, for you back then. But
Yeah,
And
and of
that's the
course,
thing.
any of us are available at
Sure.
any point in time to help you get you started on your, transfer questions and all of that. So, all right. Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Dan.